Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MINECON VR panel.
My name is Orrson from Team Minecraft. I'm so happy to have all these guys up here with me today. This is Saxs Persson from Team Minecraft. We've got John Carmack, so excited to have him here from Oculus. And Soren Hannibal, also from Team Minecraft, and James Webster. We are so happy that you guys stuck around for the VR panel, and I am here to tell you that it was totally worth it. We are going to talk to some of the creators of Minecraft in VR. We're going to do a gameplay demo with some special guests who are backstage. And we're going to actually have Q&A at the end, so start thinking of your questions now. OK, so Saxs, let's talk a little bit about kind of the design principles for Minecraft. Why did you want to bring, what were you thinking about when you brought Minecraft to VR?
I think the most important thing for us when we started on Minecraft in VR was we wanted a real version of Minecraft. We wanted people in VR to play with everybody else on Minecraft. We wanted them to have no competitive advantage, and we wanted them to feel just as natural as anybody else. But what we really wanted was to give them that sense of immersion. The first time I put on my headset and I saw my house that I'd built, I saw the size of the animals. You take in a sunset. It is a very personal experience. And from the very first, the most crude demo we did, we knew that we needed to really bring this in and become a permanent part of Minecraft, not just a demo. And as such, we said, there's nothing we're not going to change. We're going to change whatever we need to change to make a good game in VR. And that's really that was the quest we set on. We had it running really fast, but then it became a 6-month slog of one thing at a time to make it the best possible experience we could.
That's awesome. Those sunsets in VR, guys, are actually really beautiful. It's like a real vista. So can you tell us a little more about kind of that first time in VR with Minecraft, what it was like for you?
Well, the very first time I played in multiplayer, and I had this weird sense of looking somebody in the eye that I'd never had in Minecraft, where I'm the proper height and I can move around my head, and I walk up to one of the other developers and we're looking each other in the eye, and it's that we're nodding at each other and just sort of moving our heads to make sure it's real. And then, the inevitable happened. I look down and mine away from him, so he falls down, right? And I'm looking over the edge, and this is Jonathan, and he's falling down, and he's looking at me with big pixely eyes, what? What did you do to me? I think that's we chose to do a multiplayer demo here today because multiplayer is really for me, where you get a sense of just being in a completely different world, with people that experience the same way. It takes a few seconds, and then you're immersed, right? And we're excited. We have people here that are going to come to stage. They've never tried VR before, and it's going to be quite the experience. So. Yes,
first time in VR, and this panel will be really exciting to see. So, what kind of what surprised you about the development process with VR, and kind of what are some of the challenges that you encountered?
I think I've made games for over 20 years, and I thought I knew a lot about games until I started designing in VR, and I think everybody here is going to second that a lot of the ideas we just take for granted just don't work. You can't shake the screen, you can't fade out, you can't have cutscenes, all the things that you rely on to communicate just don't work anymore.
And then a lot of things that people think are going to work in VR turn out not to once they actually get them implemented.
So it's about iteration. We've done, I don't know, tens of dozens of user tests where we bring people in and we go, we are so excited, and we show it to them, and then they go, nah, it's not going to work. And we brought some of that stuff today, to show some of the bloopers of when the unexpected things that people do in VR they've always wanted to do that we never could have guessed.
Awesome. And so, I think we have some examples of kind of the specific things that were changed, and Soren will talk through this too. But can you talk a little bit about the living room and some of the specific things that you had to change?
Yeah, some of the things we came up with were things that, along the way it became obvious that VR is very intense. That it's not a... Is James going to go into
I think James
living
can
room?
show the living room right now, maybe. James, can you try to switch over to the living room? Great.
So this was one of the key insights was VR is so intense that you actually get really physically tired. So you need to give people a break. And what we figured out, if you tell people just take off the headset and take a rest, they just don't do it because it's too much fun. So instead we made this living room where wherever you want to, you can click the guide button and it zooms you back out into a living room that eventually you're going to be able to theme. And just the notion settles down your whole system. You can sort of relax, breathe. And when you're ready to go into full VR, you just click a button and it zooms back into a fully immersed Minecraft world. But it's just
skeptical of this at the beginning, because I'm like, all VR all the time, do it right all the way. But it turns out that it serves a really good purpose for a lot of people. And I was pleasantly surprised to see people that were like, okay, I want to keep playing, but I do need a break, but I'm just going to switch out to this, do some other things, and then head back in.
Yeah, VR is a little bit like roller coasters. Some people can play for a long time, or some people can ride roller coasters all day long. Some people can only do one or two. This is kind of how we let everybody enjoy VR for a longer period. You can go in and take in the beautiful vistas, and then when you get tired, take a breather, go back into your calm living room, relax, and then continue whenever you want.
And in fact, there are certain things that you do in Minecraft that are much more demanding. Like if you're just moving across an open plain, that's hardly a problem for anybody. But sometimes if you're going up and down mountains and falling down waterfalls and doing all of this, you might know ahead of time this might not be the most comfortable thing in VR. And some people will then just switch back to the living room and say, all right, over the falls now, get down settled, and then back to full VR.
Exactly.
We set ourselves a really ambitious goal when we started that we wanted people to be able to play for at least an hour in Minecraft comfortably. And like most VR experiences that are out right now are very short burst experiences that are designed for just giving you a very intense experience and then move on again. And particularly in navigational games like this, that we wanted the openness of Minecraft. You wanted to go anywhere, do anything like you normally could. But we wanted to figure out a way that we could make it comfortable. And living room was a key insight into how we can balance out the intensity with people's desire to keep playing.
And this actually is something that we struggle with a lot at Oculus, where the idea that we want VR to be everyone, and we know what makes a comfortable experience. It's something like sitting in the living room. But that's not what people want to do in VR. They want to go explore their Minecraft world. They want to go down into the tunnels and do all of this stuff. So it's been a little bit of a balancing act where there's what you want to do in VR, and then there's what actually is necessarily a good idea in Minecraft. And Minecraft is, I think we struck an excellent balance with this, where I typically play for about an hour with my family in our realm on the weekend, and it's a great experience for that. But I probably am a little bit more strong stomach for VR than a lot of people. So anybody that tries this out in the demos, if you're starting to feel bad, don't try to push through it. We don't need to be cleaning up sick at the demo area.
And you can try this, guys. So we have 40 stations with VR over in the game lounge. So go check them out and you can try VR yourselves. So there are a couple other things that got changed in this version. Soren, do you want to talk about some of those?
Sure. So the first thing we should probably show, James, is if you go into the immersive mode and show how turning looks a little bit different than people are used to. Normally in turning, when you use your stick, it just smoothly turns. But if you use your right stick to turn in VR, actually it goes kind of stepwise. It's something we found helps a lot on how long people can play. It makes it a much more comfortable experience, so you can play for longer. It feels a little strange in the beginning, but it's a little bit like wearing a bicycle helmet. If you get used to it very quickly, and it's a much better thing to do in the long run. It's much smarter.
Importantly, on the Gear VR, the wireless headset, I encourage people to never touch the right stick at all. You want to play in a swivel chair or even standing up, because if you turn in the real world, your body has a little bit of a sense of direction, and it's really interesting to know that I'm looking this way, and you turn all the way around, you do some other things, and then you come back, and you still know basically where you are. And that is some of that sense of presence that you get with virtual reality that you really don't have with a typical game. But normal, serious console jockey stick turning, that is about the worst thing you can possibly do for comfort in a game, in a virtual reality game. So I think we still have the option of hardcore mode or something to do that, but I recommend no one ever do that. You should either be turning in reality or using the stutter turn comfort mode.
We have it as an options image, an option that comes up when you first start in VR. It offers you either classic controls or VR controls. You should always choose VR controls. We have it pretty much for anyone that wants to try what would it actually be like, so everyone can see that's not what you want.
But unfortunately, a lot of people look at this and think, oh, there's a bug in the game, the turning's not smooth, but it's actually very intentional.
Yes, that's why we left it as an option, so people could see we had thought about it and we gave you multiple choices, but there's only really one that you should try.
So you kind of almost have to trick your brain in VR.
That's what we do a lot of, and we actually have one of the things we changed is the bobbing that happens when you're walking. I think we have a video of how when you're swimming, the head bobs. You can see the head bobs like this. So try to imagine, if you close your eyes, you know your body sits completely still, but your eyes are telling you that you're doing this all the time. So that gets very confusing, and you get very uncomfortable with that.
Confusing is a nice way to put it.
Yes, to say the least. Another thing we changed was also when you got hit and when you die, you see the screen actually moves. We have another video here. You see the whole world does like this around you. So basically, it feels like your head gets pushed back every time you get hit, and that was way more intense than you'd want. But that was not actually the worst part. The worst part was when you die and the whole screen starts to rotate, people start to kind of lean over and lose their balance. So we had to remove all of the tricks we did with the camera.
Although I still think it's there and sleeping in the bed. You still wind up canted off a little bit.
We have it in the bed. We have to fix it. It's on our list. Okay. So that was another thing. But I want to show some of the things that we really like in VR is how you just can steer around with your head. If James, if we can get James's view, you can see how when you push on your push forward on your controller, all you have to do is just look around with your head, and you're kind of flying in the direction you're looking. So it's almost as if you're controlling the world with your mind. It's a very peaceful, relaxing experience. It was.
So there is a little bit of a downside to that, where we talk about snake walking, where if you're just going forward and you try to look over, it does mean that you swerve around a little bit like that. In an ideal world, we'd have like a separate controller that determined which way you were walking, and then you could look around while you're going straight. But right now, it's a compromise.
Oh, and there you just saw a video of another bug, a bug that we used to have with because we now can actually track the position of your head. You can see. You could early on peek your head through the wall and kind of see through the solid world and see where everything was hidden.
Into the inner workings of Minecraft.
Yes. So these are some of the fun bugs that we had to fix before we could actually ship this one.
I wouldn't even call that a bug. That's kind of the nature of virtual reality that you have to figure out a good workaround from.
Yes, but we had a good solution for it. So now whenever you stick your head into a wall, you can't see anything. People quickly learn that you just don't stick your head into walls.
So one of the first things that I did in VR was fly around. John, do you remember what kind of your first Minecraft in VR experience was?
So I've always favored survival over creative, so I have some memories burned into my mind of being deep underground, running out of resources, getting lost, not finding my way to the surface, and really panicking. And this is, I think, the most noteworthy thing about virtual reality is, for having worked in it now for a few years, I have memories that happen to me in virtual reality, and they feel like memories from the real world. And I mean, the blocks get a little bit fuzzy when you're, when you're thinking back over your time, but it's not like I was playing a game. It's like I remember, coming up and seeing that majestic waterfall, or making my way to the surface, and getting jumped by creatures and panicking. And boy, that's like almost a heart-stopping panic when that happens when you're not expecting it.
Oh my God! Or when you're in a cave and you can't see anything. Yeah. In the dark, so scary. It's really real.
My first memory of Minecraft in VR, or the most vivid one, was the first time I was in a cave, and there was a bug in there when I touched a block above me, and the whole cave collapsed over me, and I screamed, and everybody was looking around at me in the office. It's the only time I think I've ever screamed in a video game.
No, we got bugs that the game is too dark. We go, well, what do you mean it's too dark? When I go in a cave, it's too dark, but there's no light. Yeah, but it's scary.
We're like, you gotta
I
get a
always do
torch.
turn the brightness all the way up when I'm in VR.
So we worked on these changes and things for about 6 months, guys, and very closely with you, John. Kind of what surprised you about working with the Minecraft team?
So it is interesting where this was such an epic quest for me, where it was 2.5 years ago that I first met Notch and was pitching him on this, and it was such an arduous journey to get there. Last year at Oculus Connect 2, when we announced we got it, the deal's done, it was then this question about, okay, well, the deal's done, but when do we get to release something? I had built something 6 months previously that had me excited. I had those first memories in VR, and I'm like, ship it now, ship it now. But the Minecraft team's like, no, we need to take a little bit more measured look at this. We need to do it all right. And I'm like, it's okay if it's got all these problems. People will still love it. And it went through all this, and there were some months there where I'm like, come on, any time now. But in the end, I think that some of the platform won people over there. I'm really happy with everything that came out of it. It was a much higher quality job than like the initial version that I had. All the little rough edges are pretty much sanded off. And then there were some of those things in there that I wasn't expecting at all. Like I never would have done the living room mode myself, and it turned out to be a feature that a lot of people really do like. There's tons of polish in it, so I'm super happy with how it turned out. And it's been great working with Mojang and Microsoft teams for the last 6 months. And I did, back before most of the people attending this convention were even born, I did a bunch of really important video games, but right now I am so proud to have done my tiny little part in the Minecraft virtual reality version.
I would say it's a big part, but it's awesome. That's great to hear. So were there other videos we had?
So I just want to see, this is the menu. People get an option when you start up where it asks you VR controls or classic controls.
Right, very
if you
important.
take anything away from this, it's always pick the top one.
But you do have a choice.
You do have
very
a choice.
Important.
If you want to see what it's like, you can try it. So there's one more gameplay feature that we think, James, can you show one more gameplay feature? Because I really want everyone to see what is my new favorite weapon in the game. It used to be, I used to like the sword, but after doing VR, bow and arrow has really become my favorite because all you do is just look at the place you want to aim and you shoot. You have a lot of fine control, just adjust a little bit for gravity, but it's so easy to shoot with bow and arrow.
It actually feels a little bit like real archery. You're going over there and you're aiming, adjusting for the distance.
Yeah, it is.
James is doing what everybody does. They shoot straight up and see if they can hit themselves in the face.
So for the people that are going to check out the demos, it should explain the difference between, we have two different virtual reality systems here. We have the Oculus Rift, which is attached to a pretty high-end PC, and that has the wonderful features of position tracking where you really can like duck over and lean over railings and do all of that. And it is the most presence-inspiring version where you really do kind of feel like you're there. It picks up every subtle movement, but you're still connected to the PC by this tether of cables. The other version is the Samsung Gear VR version, which basically is a cell phone plugged into a little head-mounted display. It's not nearly as powerful as the PC, but with no wires, you can spin and never get tangled up. So you can sit in a chair, a swivel chair, and spin around, but it doesn't pick up the subtle motions like going up and down. It tells where you're looking, but it can't tell how you're leaning, and that can impact comfort for some people. I play the Gear VR version in my regular play, but if you've got a chance to try out the higher-end Rift version, it gives a very different feeling to it. But if I'm going to sit and play for an hour, I want to be spinning in the swivel chair rather than necessarily tied to the computer.
Yeah, we're really excited about the Gear VR version. Like, it works on Samsung S6 and S7 Note.
Yeah, pretty much the whole
2
line
and
of
3.
high-end Samsung, the Galaxies and Notes.
And the actual device is about $100, and you can experience Minecraft in VR. And from my perspective, the sitting in the swivel chair is a great experience. It is my favorite version of VR because you don't have the tether in the way. You can mount it any way you want to, anywhere you want to. and the actual display is light and it's really durable, and you can take it, like throw it in your backpack. You don't have to worry about it. And John promised when we started on this that by the end of it, I would declare the Gear VR version the winner. And
yeah, that was one of those things. At the beginning, everybody was like, we're at Microsoft, we're big PC people, we want the high-end power stuff, but like just give the Gear VR a chance here. It's really got some things going for it. Some of the best, some of my favorite compliments are just when people say, I had no idea you could do this with a phone. It's just beyond their expectations of what was going to come out of like looking at a typical phone game or something.
Yeah, like one of the fun things that happened, like unexpected side effects, was we spent a lot of time optimizing when we were doing the Gear VR version in particular. So the Pocket version in general and the Windows 10 version is now, I would say, about 2x faster in rendering.
Something like that, yeah.
And that benefits everybody, like any PC, and we run much, much better on low-end PCs now as a consequence of it. We have way less hitching because you need to run like really at close to 60 frames a second. You can't have any hitching; it ruins the experience.
Yeah, that was one of those things that was causing me a little bit of concern. Where the version I had worked on like 9 months earlier had a certain performance level; it was up there, but so many features had been added in this, mad rush, the piling of features into Pocket Edition, that it had actually gotten a whole lot slower. When we started looking at that, we were at this maybe 40% slower speed deficit than that. But they not only pulled all that away, they pulled quite a bit more speed on top of it. So it's probably at the best position it's been in years since it was a really crude and primitive game.
Worked a lot on aliasing, like it's so features that like when you have crawly pixels, it actually like makes people really uncomfortable when they crawl separate on left and right eye. So we worked a lot on just rendering in general. And all that benefits all the different versions.
That's actually one of the biggest things, where my original version, it was almost a worst case from aliasing is when you see the little jaggies. And on your phone, you don't usually see that because the pixels are so small. But in VR, it's a huge deal. And Minecraft, because it's all about these blocky textures, it is literally the worst possible case for that. And I was saying, yeah, but it's still so cool. It's still worth doing that. But the version that we got out of this has very nice anti-aliasing, where all of the blocks, they're the loveliest low-res textures that you've ever seen now when you look at them zoomed in VR.
Yeah,
and it makes a big difference.
Because we have so much more precision in the VR version, and there's so much more you can see, we discovered that every single flower was floating this much above the ground. We had never noticed that before in the last many years.
That is an extremely common thing. Like every game that takes an existing game and adds a VR mode, you look around and you're like, wow, I didn't realize like how kind of slipshod all of this art is together. Because when you're just zooming by in a normal game, you don't even notice. But in VR, you will stop and look at the brickwork. You will stop and look and say, these textures aren't lined up. This is floating off the ground.
There were tiny gaps between some of the blocks, only some of the blocks, and you could only see it in the caves when there's a little gap in between, but we've never noticed it before. But in VR, when you are sitting in complete darkness and you see a blue line between the blocks, it breaks the illusion. So we spent so long just fixing all the tiny little things to make it really feel like Minecraft.
So it sounds like it's definitely feeling like Minecraft now, and I'm excited to kind of get you guys on there to get playing. So before we bring out our guests, and we'll have some time for Q&A later as well, but one last question, kind of, how do you guys see the future? Like, what's next for Minecraft in VR?
Well, we're going to show you a little later.
We may show you.
We might have a secret video.
Yeah. But the great thing about this is that that VR is part of the core Minecraft experience, where it would have been easy to just carve off one version and say, here's the special VR edition, and and then it sort of bit rots. And there have been other versions of Minecraft for other platforms where that's happened, where you get it somewhere and it's neat and it's great, but then a year later they're 3 versions old. But VR is part of the core now, so every new update is a VR update.
Exactly. Right. So for example, when we shipped the .15 release and we added horses, right? We didn't have that when we made the original VR release, but as soon as we did horses, we had to make sure that horses felt good in VR. So we made a little fix because it was very uncomfortable to have the HUD kind of stick through the horse when you're playing VR. So when you're riding a horse in VR, the HUD is moved to the top. Those are the kind of little tweaks we're going to keep on doing as we add more features to the Pocket Edition going forward.
Yeah, that's great. I still haven't found a saddle in our realm yet.
Awesome. So let's welcome up some guests and get started on a playthrough. We're super stoked today to have 2 friends here. We have OMGChad and we have CoStar to play with us in VR. And this is actually... Welcome, guys. This is actually CoStar's first time in VR with Minecraft, so this is going to be awesome for all of us. If you guys want to go ahead and sit down, Soren and I will talk through just a little more comfort things.
John?
Yeah.
So we talked about kind of the controls and being in a spinny chair and kind of using your head to move. What are the other things that help with comfort in VR?
So there's one very surprising thing we found. One of our testers couldn't play for VR for very long because VR is different for everyone. This one tester couldn't play for very long, but he discovered by accident that if he left music on, all of a sudden he could last for much longer. We actually found out that there is research proving that leaving ambient music playing makes you more comfortable. So make sure to leave the music running.
Leave the music on.
Yep.
Ambient music is great for VR. So if you guys, let's get everybody with their headsets on. So CoStar, you can go ahead and put that on with kind of glasses first.
And
Control yourself.
Already we have what's going on in this game.
And we also found that people sometimes tend to forget about the living room. It really is there to use whenever you need to take a break.
Yes,
and the
kick
other
it in
thing,
the living room.
Yes, and the other thing is when people play VR the first time, they play just like they play regular games. They sit completely still with a controller, not moving their head. But really, you should just relax, take a breath, look around, realize you can actually use your head. That's the magic of VR.
CoStar, how's it feel? First time in VR. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, no,
Hey,
no.
hey, be nice.
Okay,
sorry,
so James, I'm going to kick it to you. You can get started with this demo. Let's see these guys play.
I've got a bunch of unruly students with me. All right, kids, stay together. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little journey, take a little adventure. We're going to take you through some of the areas that are kind of iconic in Minecraft. We're going to go into a cave first of all, and in VR, a cave is really kind of even more scary and ominous when you're in VR. So if you guys will follow me, I'm the guy in red jumping in front of you, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through these doors, and what you're going to see is as soon as you go in here, let me get some light in here. We need some torches. See how it's pretty dark right now, but when we light it up in VR, it just feels a lot more gold. Like you're really immersed in this dark, spooky cave. And we got some fun stuff. We got some emeralds over here if somebody wants to mine a couple.
Ooh, emerald.
Yeah. Sorry.
So around this corner, we're going to have some friends come and play with us. So I would suggest you might want to get your bow or your sword equipped. You guys ready?
I don't know if I have enough arrows.
You have arrows, trust me.
Oh, we're good, we're good.
We wouldn't leave you hanging. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Do this. Go get them, guys.
Oh, no. Oh, I think I don't have arrows. No.
Hey, Chad, what you want to do is you want to press down hard on your right joystick, and what that'll do is it'll take you out of crouch mode.
Hit down hard on what?
You're in crouch mode right now?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. You're going to run a lot faster.
Did you get them all? They're all gone.
So it's nighttime, so we might even see some mobs spawning here. Whoa. But when you notice as we come outside, shoot some bows into the distance. In VR, it's just so much more satisfying. You really see the arc of the arrow as gravity's acting on the arrow as it's moving, and it really gives you that nice sense of space.
Wait.
Unfortunately, when the bows and arrows come out, pretty much sniping starts immediately afterwards. So we are in survival mode, so you have a limited amount of health. I've given you all armor, but you can kill each other. Just take note.
You may die on this panel.
We've got some colored blocks here, and on each of the colored blocks is a button. And this is just a demonstration of some of the just really fun things you can do with Redstone. And you guys obviously know it's really one of the cool aspects of the game that you can create logic. Yeah, I told you we're gonna have some mobs out here.
Oh no!
There might even be a creeper. I thought I heard a hiss. So we have a couple of fun things to. Yeah, we got a piano we built with Redstone. If somebody wants to push the orange block button over here, don't push the red one yet. I wanna show you guys the red one. So that's kind of an egg launcher, and this poor golem is getting pelted with eggs.
Poor iron golem.
So if everybody wants to go over onto the dance floor over here, you can show us your nifty moves over here.
Let's see them, guys.
There we go.
Come on. Just with,
yeah.
yeah.
Looking good.
Happy
Looking
jumpers
good.
in the
Looking
house.
real good. I love it. All right, so hang on right there. And what we've got, we want to back up just a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Because we've got, yes, this was a TNT cannon that we built. And what it does is it opens up over here into what we call the cathedral. And right now the cathedral's kind of dark, but if somebody wants to go over to that green block and push the button on top,
Ooh, I'll do it.
we can bring some light to our cathedral here. Ooh, I see a creeper.
There we
in the
go.
distance. There we go. Yeah, nice redstone action there. Very good. Ooh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Good job. All right. So now we've got another kind of fun vista up ahead. If you guys want to follow me up here, we've got a bridge that connects these two areas.
Oh,
Shoot some more areas, some more arrows into the distance. Oh, take him out.
I got this.
Take him out.
Maybe I don't. Okay,
Sorry.
wait. I wanted to have this. Oh, no. There we go.
What we've noticed with Saxs is he does a lot of, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to hit you. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll be sorry.
I really am sorry.
I really am sorry, yeah.
So yeah, you can look
So if
over
you guys
the
want to
side
follow
of the
me
bridge
across the
there.
bridge, we have a minecart race. So you each need to pick a minecart.
Ooh, I choose red. Here we go.
Yes, don't destroy your minecart. Left trigger. I know the Xbox controllers for you PC players out there might be a little bit.
Oh, so I saw you move the HUD in the minecart also. That's good.
And if everybody's in a cart, or if we're ready to go,
Oh, yeah.
let's go. All right,
Ooh.
Saxs is in
Off to the
front,
races.
co-stars, and of course Saxs is sniping at me.
Zach's already taken
I didn't
the
realize this was PvP the whole
Now, if
time.
anyone is low on health, they're...
Oh,
Oh, the humanity!
oh no, that's a death I don't want on my record. Oh, no.
Well, thank goodness we're near the end of this demo level, because it's a long way back, Saxs. Sorry about that. So we have kind of a leap of faith here. This is actually one of the really fun things to do in VR, is to look down a really long passage, or in this case, kind of a deep well. And now you guys need to jump into that well. So who wants to go first?
The first one ever! He's taking a flying leap.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my god. You really
So you
do
just
get
need
like
to
a
go out
full
the
sense
sides
of
here.
vertigo up there. Did anybody feel that?
Yeah, that was really kind of scary.
Oh my god, I love the flying leaps. Usually people are a little nervous about jumping into a giant trench, but you guys all dove right in.
Oh, diamonds.
Yeah, so it's just filled with all sorts of fun loot. This is also this is a good chance for folks who've been on the Gear VR to try the Rift, or the Rift to try the Gear VR, and swap back and forth, and just you get the same great gameplay experience. The VR just adds this really cool immersive quality to the gameplay experience. So, do you guys enjoy that?
Yeah, that's
I'm
cool.
glad you all made it to the end. This is the first time Saxs was the first one not to make it to the end.
I think I may have done the killing blow there.
John.
And what often has happened, somebody's got so little health left that when they hit the cactuses that despawn the minecart, Matt finally does them in, and they... Ooh. And then it's what do they call that? Garage sale, right? Just everything goes everywhere.
Yeah, so
And
I think
so
there's
you might
one
not have
stylistic thing that I always did argue with the Microsoft team about was the floating HUD. I'm not a huge fan of that hanging around, so they gave me an option to fix it in place the way I like.
We
It
did
is
that
one of
with
the
a lot of
things
the
we
VR
made-
options, right?
We made a lot of different options because the floating HUD, if you could see one of the VR screens,
Yeah.
you can see how the HUD, it doesn't actually stay fixed in front of your view. It kind of floats around, so as you're turning your head, it kind of follows you around. And it's something that
Could you
we
switch to one of
feel
the Rift
like
players
really makes it immersive.
so they could see the VR screen?
But John doesn't necessarily think it feels so
Oh,
good
I guess
for
you
him.
can't see
so
that because it's just
again,
the
we're just
camera
trying to
view.
give
There
you
we
the
go.
option to make the game just the
Yeah.
way you want it.
Yeah, you
so
guys
now you
gotta
can
go
see the
try
HUD
these.
there, how it kind of floats around, follows you around. It's another example of we don't know exactly what everybody will want, so we try to give people the different options. VR is still so new that we're kind of figuring out the common language of how is everything going to work. This is just one out of the many options we put in there.
We actually put an entire tab dedicated just to VR because there are so many things that actually changed in the VR gameplay. We wanted to have its own dedicated option screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually this pointed out that one of the most important changes that was made was the behavior of jumps, where you'll notice that if you're in VR, the jumps feel a little strange because you're used to a parabolic jump, but that's about the worst case for comfort, where you're sort of continuously accelerating. So the jumps are now kind of special cased so that if you're jumping onto nothing or up onto a single block or falling down one or two, they take more of a straight line path between it, which isn't as realistic, but is actually a lot more comfortable because you have to do an enormous amount of jumping up and falling down while navigating around.
Yeah, it also used to be that the jump went up and then down on every single block, so up, down, so it's almost as if you did a bounce every time you jumped a single step. That was too much motion that it didn't feel good. So that's another thing we changed. But again, we changed it just so for the people that are playing, so if you play in the regular non-VR version, you play multiplayer together, it looks just like a regular jump. So as you might have noticed, there's people playing on Gear VR and on Rift and on Windows 10 desktop mode. Everything just works together. So
you can
everyone
play with people on Pocket Edition too.
Yep.
Where are you guys taking us in this demo? We're going on an
Everyone's just
underground
sort of going off
adventure
in
now.
random
My
directions
pickaxe
mining.
The
broke.
game has continued.
Oh, there they are.
Deeper and deeper.
We're free.
Kozar, what do you think?
This is really incredible. Like, everything just looks so much more real. It really feels like all this stuff is right here in front of me.
You get claustrophobia in tiny little passages when you're all surrounded by rock.
Like,
Is
the
that why you
ceiling
guys
is
are
way too
tunneling
close.
way down into the scary depths of...
I'm actually hoping one of you guys is going to run into a spider down there in the cave, because the little red eyes in a dark space.
Yeah,
are
you're looking for that jump scream from the first time VR player. Unfortunately, I
and
think
those
we've
mobs
dug all
really
of
feel
these
big in VR
ourselves.
because they're at scale, so they're really very scary.
It definitely makes a mine shaft feel a lot more intimate when you're inside of there. It's just like, oh, this is my little home.
Yeah.
My little home, scary under the cave in the depths of...
Oh,
Yeah, you
we
do
hit
start
bedrock.
taking more ownership for the things that you build when you're walking around inside of them.
Yep.
Chad, what was your favorite part about that demo? I know that you've tried this before, but not this level.
I have to say that, like, my favorite part is really just being immersed. I mean, it feels like, it really does feel like there's a roof, above me that if I just keep mining a few blocks out, it's just, okay, there we go. Oh, that looks a lot better. And then also, of course, being multiplayer, messing with your friends. I can't normally punch a friend in the face, and so that's a lot of fun. To punch your friends in the face.
That's a great message.
I'm sorry,
It's a
I think I
great
buried Saxs for good. He might not be coming back.
And John, you really play, you're playing VR all the time. What's sticking out to you about this demo or this experience or Minecraft in VR these days?
So I had seen this demo for the initial reveal, but I didn't get to play it with multiple people in here. So running through with a crew is actually pretty cool. And knowing that it's the first time for somebody seeing this is an excellent first experience there. Kind of get to see it, and you can walk back over, and some of the things, when we walked over the bridge, I was thinking you need to lean off over the edge there with the rift and kind of look down at the rivers and see things like that. There's so much that you can point out that, again, if you were just playing it normally, you run through, you accomplish your goal, and you're kind of done. But with VR, you can go into the little temple area up here and look around into every corner and get a different perspective on things. And experiences that you're used to take on a whole new magic.
Ooh, bat.
That's awesome.
Hello, Mr. Bat. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So let's open up for some Q&A from the audience. I think we're going to have some runners with microphones. So if you raise your hand, they may come running out and try and find you. If you guys want to take those headsets off, as fun as it is, so we can answer some questions. You all can go and try these, so go try them. And they have the new Xbox controller that works with Gear VR. You can try those over in the game lounge as well. They're very cool. They're working here now, and then they'll start working with your Gear VRs at home in a couple weeks. Okay, questions. Do I get to pick them?
We have a question here from Mason.
Do you ever plan on doing a Minecraft story mode in VR?
Great question.
My microphone's not working.
Sounds like a good
It's
idea to
working,
me.
we got you.
Kind of a no-brainer. Nothing to announce. But
Nothing to announce. No, but that
No,
would
we
be
have
really
nothing to share about
awesome. I love that idea.
it's actually a great idea.
I mean, there are some challenges with storytelling in VR because the normal director's view, you have all of these tools that they're used to with zooming and panning and depth of field and things that for a VR player you can't do that because the VR player is not a camera to be yanked around. It has to be you standing there. So you have to tell narrative more like in a play or a stage production rather than a traditional video production. And yeah, Minecraft Story Mode does all of those director things, but you could easily imagine them doing something where you have static camera spots and you have interesting storytelling going on around you. I'd love to see that.
Next question.
I think we have a question here.
Will command block servers be enabled so you could make like the type of thing where on a certain server you can actually build a phone out of command blocks and you could order a pizza from Minecraft?
What?
Wow.
Well, still not working.
No, we can hear it.
Okay. Well, anything you can do in the normal game, you can do in VR. So there's no command blocks in Pocket and Win 10 yet, but we just introduced slash commands in .16, so we're not too far away from command blocks. But yeah, like VR is the exact same version as what you're playing on PC, exact same you're playing on Pocket.
So when command blocks come to Windows 10 and Pocket, you'll be able to use them on VR.
We have a question from Declan. Declan.
How long does it take to make Minecraft VR?
We know exactly.
Well, John did a lot of legwork for a year and a half, and then a whole bunch of people joined him, and we spent about 6 months to get out with the Gear VR version, and then another 4 or 5 months to do the Rift version. So
yeah, so really it was like 2 months of work at one point surrounded by a whole lot of corporate drama, then 6 months of hard work to get the first version out, and then another 4 to get the next version out. Yep.
And I think, Soren, you can talk to sort of the technical part versus how we had to polish it to really make the VR experience and the controls enjoyable and really make sense. Because we got the game up and running fairly quickly, I think, in VR.
So John got the first prototype up and running, but we spent at least 6 months just for the polishing part after the whole game was kind of functional. So it was more energy spent on polishing than on actually getting things to work.
Yeah, because I mean, I had it in VR and I was like, okay, boats are kind of janky, minecarts could probably be better, but I still wanted to just kind of get it out. But going and doing all of that polishing is what took the 6 months because it was up and running in VR and you could have the, wow, I'm inside Minecraft really, really fast. It was all the polish that took the time.
Hi, thank you guys for sharing this. This is really cool. One question, you talked about with the vertigo and the motion sickness problems, you recommend people to sit on, chairs, swivel chairs. Do you have future plans for allowing people to be in like a big, like padded room to walk around, and actually experience the immersive experience, like as if you're really walking around?
Say, come to Oculus Connect 3 next month.
Well, we for Minecraft, we're experimenting with like pretty much everything. Like we are. Do you want to show what we're working on?
Yeah. So first, we want to say we want to make sure that whatever we do has to feel good, and you have to be able to play the whole game. But we are making experiments with new things. So we actually have one last video we wanted to show. Of something I just captured this week from one of the other people's desks. If we can get the video.
It's brand new.
With the Oculus Touch controller. So it's hard to capture the feeling here of how you hold it up, and if you hold it in front of your eyes, you actually see the sword and the bow and everything in your hands. How you use your hand to aim with the bow, which is a little bit different from playing controller, but it's another really cool feature. We can't explain how it feels. You really have to try it.
That looks great.
Right, so aiming is now decoupled from your view. Where you're
Yeah.
looking, it doesn't necessarily to be where you're aiming, so now you can aim with the touch controller in a different direction.
Yeah, so we see room scale like in it's a similar challenge. Like we started doing them one thing at a time, and I think what we have struggled more with than anything is the input paradigm, like to make a feeling of like an immersive like control scheme, and this is the first step towards that, obviously, that we're going to release later this year. And then we'll start experimenting with like whatever else we can come up with, and room scale is certainly one of them.
Yep.
Awesome.
Question from iHill. I have a couple of questions. So first off, do you have any planned like beta testing for public, or like when will it be released to the public?
So both the Oculus Rift and the Gear VR versions are out in public. Like you can go to the store if you own the Windows 10 version. You already have the Rift version. Once you get an Oculus Rift, it just works on it. Right. Or you can go to your on your Samsung phone and you can download the Gear VR version, which is a separate version, but it connects to all the other Pocket versions. But both of them are out in market now, and they are. I think they are, I don't know, $6.99 or whatever they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can try them at MineCon. They're over in the Game Lounge, too.
Yeah.
And again, the great thing about it being there is no separate beta for the VR version. The beta for the normal version is the beta for the VR version. It's all one product.
Yep.
So like, how much will the VR cost? How much will the VR cost?
So
I think, well, the actual headsets, the Gear VR is $99, but you need a Samsung Galaxy or Note phone to go with it. The Rift is $600, but you need to have a pretty high-end PC with a very good graphics card to run it. And those are the two options.
And if you buy the Gear VR, you'll also need to buy a controller to play Minecraft.
Right.
Yes, good point.
Bluetooth controller. But the Xbox S now works with the Gear
That's actually, yeah, a great point to say the announcement with the Xbox, the new Xbox controller working on Android is a great thing, because that's, as far as most of us are concerned, that's the gold standard for controllers.
Okay, we have a question from Sal and Julian.
Hey guys, thank you so much for this great panel. It's been very enlightening and interesting what you guys have been working on. One of the things that kind of comes to mind is I really appreciate that you guys are building the virtual reality into the main game and not making it a separate game. But are there one of the things I struggle, at least as a parent, is that he's always on Pocket or, the Windows 10 version. Are there any plans on integrating everything so that it's just one platform all the time, wherever you go? I go virtual, then I head on my phone, and then I head on my PC, and no matter what, everything is streamlined?
Well, we've talked a few times in public about like a desire that all the different versions need to talk to all the different versions. Like a Minecraft player should be able to play their world anywhere, have their profile travel with them to anywhere. I think Minecraft is it's a sprawling game, like you can see in the opening ceremony. Like there's a lot going on, and what we're slowly doing is just bringing more and more of them in so they can start communicating. We launched Realms for Pocket and for Windows 10. That's the first step in basically having like permanent hosted worlds that you can connect to from any device and play your content from any device. And you're going to see us take a lot more steps in that direction over the next year, 2 years.
I have a question. So recently there have been a lot of products like the HTC Vive where it can track your movement, not just in a chair, but also moving around, and things like omnidirectional treadmills. So do you think you would incorporate any movement, like an omnidirectional treadmill or infrared cameras that like see where you are? Or?
So we've seen a lot of these kind of treadmill contraptions, and I don't think they've got any real chance of getting mainstream consumer acceptance to dedicate a lot of space, pay a lot of money, and it still doesn't feel like walking. I mean, yes, you can kind of locomote like that, but it's not, what you would ideally want. What you really want is the holodeck, where you've got like this entire room, the ability to walk around it in VR and have the virtual world around you. Now that'll be really awesome.
No, I think Like a few of us have worked a lot on HoloLens also, and still working on it. And we have times where we can move around like the entire office, and we basically map out a Minecraft world, but you can move through the entire office like that. And it's pretty unbelievable. Like once you take all constraints off, but it has all sorts of other shortcomings. Like
Can't climb a mountain.
walls are always at a very inconvenient space.
Yes.
But I will say, like the first time I had like a sheep come running down, and it just worked perfectly. Come running down the hallway in the office and just running by me, and you just jump out of the way instinctively because it just feels like so immersive. And sheeps are huge in VR, by the way.
That's still one of my wish list items to see in VR. Is just moving the little pixels of their eyes to just like lock eye contact with all the mobs. That will add so much to it. Just like moving those 2 dots.
Yeah. So like to like long answer to yes, like we would love to experiment with like different types of locomotion. I think it's more about like getting enough acceptance on a standard before we start moving in that direction. But there's some really interesting research about how you can trick the brain to walk basically in circles, even if you're walking. Exactly, directed walking.
If you've got
that we're looking into.
Yeah.
There's an interesting footnote about HoloLens, by the way. While John was doing all of his development on Gear VR, we were doing all of the HoloLens prototyping and the table mode that we were showing off at the previous E3. But there's a lot of code that, while the experiences are completely different, both of them were in the Minecraft code base, and both of them share so much mathematically. We've kind of integrated it all together, created a kind of a shared piece of code. So everything that would come to one would also come to the other there, like from the functionality. Like whenever we do a release for one, we will be able to support all of that for HoloLens as well.
Is the HoloLens support released now?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Question from Alina.
Will you guys make a VR version for the Apple phone?
If Apple was interested, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, unfortunately, there is no like standard for a VR device on Apple phones yet. But by the time that comes out, like we'd be very interested in making that, obviously.
Right now, there is a very specific technical issue that the Samsung phones have OLED displays, which are better for VR than the LCDs that are in pretty much all the other phones. But Apple's heading that way as well.
I think what we all share, like John and us and on the Minecraft team, is that we want people to try VR for themselves. Like it is a pretty transformative experience. Yeah. Like there's something that happens, like John says, you get memories that you just don't get from games in the same way. That you get a sense of presence you just don't get any other way. And right now, the Gear VR, in my opinion, is plenty to really get your feet wet and to feel like what VR can do for your favorite game.
And remember, when you go to try this at the demo stations, be free and look around. Don't, pretend that you're locked in place looking at a screen. The magic is looking around and kind of experiencing that sense of wonder that this is not like playing a game on any other device that you've tried.
What gave you the idea to make virtual reality Minecraft?
John did.
There's a bunch of technical backstory to it, but my kids were big Minecraft players, so we were seeing the Pocket Editions all around the house. And unlike most of the games that we were working with, I knew that Minecraft Pocket Edition was implemented. It was a native C++ application, so that I knew it was kind of hardcore programmed in a way that would be amenable to optimization for VR. So I thought it would be a great target. I love first-person games. I mean, I was mostly known for the kind of the first-person shooter games, so I love this idea of exploration. And some of this, a little bit of it was me rebelling against, or at that time, corporate policy about comfort above all else, where we were doing these VR experiences where you sat down and things happened around you, and they were neat, but I really wanted to go. I wanted to go forward and around and see what's over the bend and around the mountain. And Minecraft, I thought, was the perfect vehicle for that. And so it was this 2.5-year journey to make it happen. It's my epic quest, and I'm still a little bit giddy that it all worked out well.
Question from Ryan.
So yeah, I have one question and one statement. First off, I want to say that you guys are awesome. I've been playing Minecraft since the beginning, and it's awesome to see it evolve from just like really basic stuff to complicated stuff like VR, and it's really awesome. It's my friend's Fraser from England. It's his birthday, so I want to say happy birthday to him. And I want you to subscribe to me, F-U-Z-E-I-T on YouTube. Thank you, cringe. Bye.
Kind of a question.
That was no question.
Unsubbed.
What falling feel like?
It hurts when you land. So falling is one of those areas, there's nothing that we can do to make that more comfortable because you're accelerating the entire time. So if you're falling beside things that give you a good reference, that is going to be one of the more uncomfortable experiences. Plus, part of your body, the little lizard brain in the back of your head is going, I'm about to go splat at the bottom of this mountain.
It's very similar to going to an amusement park and trying a free fall. Like it gets like I brace myself every time I jump off a cliff because you get that suck in your stomach and you can just feel the impact, and it sits with you like for a second afterwards.
I think that was a case also where we had a choice there of sort of, do we emphasize comfort or do we emphasize the game? And it felt like falling had to be falling like it normally would.
Yeah, what else would you even do?
It would just be strange and bizarre.
Are you planning on extending Minecraft VR to any other VR headsets or machines?
I think over time we'll do that. Like we're not quite done with what we're doing right now. Like we're trying to specialize and make something that's really good before we go broader. It's very similar to what you saw on console where we were on Xbox for a long time before we went to Sony. It's not because we didn't want to, it's just like we were so busy making it better, and then at some point we feel it's good enough that we start sort of going wider again. So yeah, like we expect it should be on every VR device eventually.
But of course, I'm here waving the Oculus flag.
There is also the thing that we want everybody to love VR as much as we do, and therefore we want people's first impression to be solid. That's why we're spending so much time getting it to feel really good on one device or two devices before we try to go any broader.
They're such perfectionists. It's so boring.
Yes, we are.
Can we get one more question from the crowd?
Okay, we're getting one more question. One more? No more? No more questions?
Maybe not.
No more questions?
There's like hands.
Lots of waving hands, though.
No. Just yell you.
Yeah. Somebody you want to yell out in the front? Ask a lot in the front. What's your question?
Okay. Thank you.
Will it be able to be on a Mac?
Oh.
Well, so will VR work with desktop?
There's currently no Mac support for any of the VR headset that I'm aware of. Like we're not agnostic to that, but
yeah, and that's always just been a question of focus inside Oculus. We have a ton of Mac users, practically everyone inside Facebook, but that's not there right now or in the real near future.
So unfortunately, no, not right now.
Sorry.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Enjoy the expo. Enjoy MineCon.
Thank you.